I would say, revered and established young leaders from very diverse fields. First and foremost, Dr. Sangeetha Reddy, who is the president of FICCI and the joint managing director of the Apollo Hospital Group. Mr. Shashwat Goenka, who is also the chair of the Young Leaders sector for FICCI and the sector head for retail and FMCG for the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. It's also indeed my real privilege to welcome Mr. Junaid Ahmed Palak, who is joining us from Bangladesh. Welcome, sir, on that. He is the Honorable State Minister of ICT, which is the Ministry of Post, Telecom, and IT for Bangladesh. And indeed, a privilege for me to also welcome Mr. Dushyant Chautala, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana. So a very, very hearty welcome to everyone. And to start the session, I would actually first go with Mr. Shashwat Goenka, and he would deliver his address. And before I start, I would like to introduce him, to read it and read out a bit about him. Shashwat and I know each other very well. We've been working together on this forum for some time. And I can tell you, he is one of the most dynamic business leaders in India today. And having worked with him personally, I can tell you that he takes active interest beyond his own business and is one of the most, I would say, dynamic leaders that I have met. Shashwat, as I mentioned, is the sector head retail and FMCG of the $6 billion RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. He also serves as vice chairman on the board of CESC Limited, a fully integrated power utility, director on the board of Spencer's Retail Limited, a multi-format retail having presence in 39 cities across India, Philips Carbon Black Limited, one of the largest producers of carbon black in India, First Source Solutions Limited, a leading business process outsourcing company of the group, and is also actively involved in the Retailers Association of India. He is also the founder of brand Too Yum and leads the retail and FMCG vertical of the group. Currently, Mr. Shashwat Goenka is an executive member in National Executive Council, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, member, chair, CII, National Retail Committee. He is also the past president of Indian Chamber of Commerce, Calcutta. Shashwat, as we can really understand, has received numerous awards to his name, and to name a few, ET 40 Under 40, India's Hottest Business Leaders 2018, Times of India Business Most Young and Dynamic Leader, ASEAN Youth Award, and also the Most Influential Young Indians by GQ. Welcome, Shashwat, to this, and I would request you to deliver your address.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for such a generous and warm introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my humble privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural session of FICCI Global Young Leaders Summit 2020, Youth Icons Inspiring New Generations. FICCI Young Leaders, or FYL, hopes to be a platform for collaboration, a network of ideas, and an enabler of innovation in India. India is a country of the youth, and it must take advantage of the demographic dividend of a rapidly growing young population. It is imperative to give aspirational youth a platform to create and innovate. India is a young country with a median age of around 28.5 years. And to reap the benefit of this demographic dividend, it is important that our youth is imparted with and equipped with resources that not only allow them to achieve their aspirations, but also contribute effectively in enhancing the country's growth prospects. FICCI recognizes the aspirations and dreams of the younger generation, as well as their zeal to excel and make a difference. It is this spirit that has driven FICCI to form the Young Leaders Forum, an exclusive forum of young achievers from diverse fields of business and industry. It hopes to provide voice to the young leaders of our nation and the world across sectors to share their innovative ideas for the overall growth of the global economy. The objective is to lay a foundation to encourage the youth of the nation to indulge in FICCI's mainstay activities and to recognize and reinforce their role in the sustainable development of our country. I am truly humbled and honored to be leading this initiative for FICCI. Against this backdrop, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the FICCI Global Young Leader Summit 2020. We, as a country, are making changes to the way India functions through major structural reforms and the adoption of the digital, which I believe will lay the foundation or a strong foundation for the years to come. And for that, we as Indians would need to evolve the way we think, the way we work, and our very outlook on every matter. Over the next 3 days, we have put together a series of panels and fireside chats to prompt dialogue, thought, and action towards strengthening and promoting the idea of global youth icons. I am certain that the audience will immensely benefit from our esteemed speakers who span across different walks of life as we discuss what we need to do for India to embark on a journey towards unlocking its trillion-dollar opportunity. We kickstart this today with the inaugural session, where we have the privilege and honor of having with us stalwarts who, without a doubt, will inspire each of us with learnings from their journey. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Junaid Ahmed Palak, Honorable State Minister, ICT Division, Ministry of Posts, Telecommunications and Information Technology, Bangladesh. He is the youngest minister in Bangladesh and has been the youngest member of the 9th National Assembly of Bangladesh. We also have the extreme honor of having with us today Mr. Dushyant Chautala, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Government of Haryana. Mr. Chautala has been the youngest ever elected member of parliament and was also the first Indian to be conferred with the highest civilian honor by Arizona, USA. Honorable Minister Chautala holds many awards to his credit, including being awarded the world's most influential young people in government. I am confident that this summit over the next 3 days will prompt a dialogue, thought, and action towards strengthening and promoting entrepreneurship in our country. With that, I declare the summit open. Thank you so much, Abhishek.
Thank you, Shashwat, for really setting the context for what seems to be and I really hope very interesting event. And it is now my pleasure to welcome and introduce Mr. Junaid Ahmed Palak. He is the member of Parliament for Bangladesh, the State Minister for ICT Division, which is the Ministry of Posts, Telecommunications and Information Technology. Welcome, sir. Mr. Junaid Ahmed Palak has been involved in active politics in Bangladesh for the last 25 years. He joined politics when he realized that a righteous political leadership is required to change the fate of underdeveloped and disregarded ChalanBil region. At present, he is serving as the Member of Parliament from Nator 3 Singra constituency, elected by the public for the 3rd time in a row. Because of his great leadership, he was appointed as a State Minister for Information Technology and Communications by the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in 2014, only at the age of 33. He is currently holding the same post. Junaid Ahmed Palak was born in 1980 and hence is one of the most young and dynamic leaders of Bangladesh. Although he studied political science and law, currently in the field of information and technology is where he is involved in. He is also leading a lot of other forums in Bangladesh under the guidance of Honorable ICT Affairs Advisor. Mr. Palak was nominated the Young Global Leader in 2016 by World Economic Forum. In 2018, he appeared in the list of world's 100 most influential people in digital government, published by Apolitical, a London-based international organization. Again, a privilege to have you, sir, speak at this event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Abhishek, for your kind introduction. And Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in this excellent event, and also for inviting me to speak at the FICCI Global Young Leaders Summit. Indo-Bangla bilateral relations are truly based on deep historical and brotherly ties, which reflect an all-encompassing bilateral partnership based on sovereignty, equality, trust, and friendship. And we have with us Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and the other panelists. Good morning to you all. Father of our nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, said that the greatest asset of Bangladesh is its soil and its people. Even after almost 50 years of our independence, we realize how important that statement was, as Bangladesh was able to provide food security and rely on local human resource to achieve positive growth during last 8 months of pandemic. Bangladesh is one of only 2 ASEAN and South Asian economies to register positive growth in 2020 despite of a global recession. We have used digital technologies to sustain our economy, from working from home to maintaining the agriculture supply chain. Digital has played a key role in achieving the 5.2% GDP growth till June 2020. This journey started 11 years ago with the declaration of the Digital Bangladesh Vision by the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She has envisioned 3 major milestones for Bangladesh: 2021 to achieve Digital Bangladesh by reaching middle income status, 2030 to achieve SDGs and to take our GDP from 348 billion US dollars today to 700 billion US dollars by 2030, making Bangladesh the 26th largest economy and achieving knowledge economy and high income country with per capita income over $12,000 by 2041. The architect of Digital Bangladesh, Mr. Shajib, was a joy. The ICT Affairs Advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister strategized the Vision 2021 to be implemented under 4 pillars or blocks: e-governance, connectivity and infrastructure development, human capital development, and ICT industry promotion. Despite the pandemic, we are confident that we will achieve Vision 2021 on time, where our digital human capital will play a key role. We're enjoying the demographic dividend. In Bangladesh, we have 170 million people. Out of 170 million people, we have 70% population who are below 35. We want to utilize this power of youth. We have made information and communication technology mandatory in secondary and higher secondary schools. From the government, we have provided digital literacy and skills training and jobs to more than 1 million youth and women. These include skills, digital jobs, and global IT and business process outsourcing industry. Even during the pandemic, from the ICT Ministry, we have provided training to almost 50,000 youth and women using digital tools. According to the Oxford Internet Institute, Bangladesh has over 600,000 digital workers, making it the second largest pool of online workers in the world after India. Looking ahead, we are focused on developing our youth in the 4th Industrial Revolution stack. And we are building schools of the future and advanced digital labs across the country. We are building 64 Sheikh Kamal IT training and incubation centers and 13,000 Sheikh Russell digital computer labs across the country. These centers will help transform our human resources to human capital. Our investment in digital capital and infrastructure has paid off as we were able to sustain our economy during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the last 6 months, we have consumed twice the bandwidth compared to last year. Our daily mobile financial transactions have grown by 30%, and our digital commerce business grew by 70%. We have been able to use digital technologies to continue our education as well as our commerce and entertainment. And our per capita income has increased to 2069 US dollars this year from 1909 US dollars in 2019. In order to utilize the potential of youths, foster innovation, develop an innovation-centered digital economy, and sustain its remarkable growth, we have taken an initiative to set up Innovation Design and Entrepreneurship Academy, IDEA in short, and have established a Startup Bangladesh Venture Capital Fund company to facilitate entrepreneurs with the financial support and co-working space to create a favorable and friendly environment for them, to equip them with necessary technical and managerial skills, and to mentor and guide the entrepreneurs for achieving their goals. At the invitation of His Excellency Sri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of Republic of India, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister of People's Republic of Bangladesh, paid an official visit to India on 5th of October 2019. In the bilateral discussions, both sides emphasized the importance of enhanced cooperation between the youth, both of countries, as an investment in the future. They mentioned the signing of an MOU on cooperation in youth affairs as a step in this direction. The two leaders recognized that structured training programs suitable for Bangladesh will be even more productive, and that is why we are building 12 IT parks across the country with the help of Indian government and in cooperation and collaboration between two countries. I am happy to know that FICCI Global Young Leaders Summit 2020, all the components which are important to ensure development and well-being of the youth. I look forward to listen to the deliberations today at the summit and more. So take forward the recommendations to the Bangladesh government so that we can further create an enabling environment for the benefit of the youth of both of the countries. I would like to congratulate you once again for organizing this summit and for giving me this opportunity to join this gathering here today. This is not the time to compete, but rather to collaborate. Let us all work together to build a better world for the future. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir. I must tell you that, this is extremely inspirational to hear the success story that your country is demonstrating in digital leadership. And a lot of the information you gave have been eye-opening, and I'm sure very, very motivational for the listeners. Thank you so much. It is now my pleasure to actually introduce Sri Dushyant Chautala, the Deputy Chief Minister of the Government of Haryana. And I would like to introduce him before he starts his address. He is the youngest Deputy Chief Minister of the state of Haryana and also the co-founder of the Jan Nayak Janata Party. He is the youngest ever parliamentarian in history of Indian Parliament, being elected from Hisar in the 16th Lok Sabha. A dynamic young leader, Shri Dushyant Chautala has been an active parliamentarian and has a very impressive parliamentary performance. He has raised the highest number of questions and participated in over 230 debates during his term in the 16th Lok Sabha. He's also introduced 21 private member bills. Shri Dushyant Chautala has served many committees of parliament in various capacities. He was the member of the Standing Committee on Commerce, Standing Committee on Urban Development, Committee on Papers Laid on the Table, and Committee on Estimates, and member of Consultative Committee, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. He has also served as the co-convener of Parliamentarians Group and Children and WASH Forum. He has represented India in IPU Global Conference of Young Parliamentarians held in Tokyo in 2015. Being a very varied personality that his profile shows, he's also a sports enthusiast, which is very heartening for me to hear, as he was elected the youngest president of Table Tennis Federation of India in 2017. He also serves as the president of South Asian Table Tennis Federation and Commonwealth Table Tennis Federation. And over and above that, he's been the vice chairman of Jan Nayak Chaudhary Devilal Vidyapeeth. And under his able guidance, world record of registering and donating 10,458 eyes in one go was created. He's an agriculturist, a social worker, a business person by profession, promoting sports, education, agriculture, and preservation and promotion of culture and heritage of Haryana are some of his special interests. It is indeed a privilege to welcome you and listen to you, sir, at this event. Over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. It was lovely to hear Junaid when he was speaking about how India and Bangladesh are growing together, and we are also looking forward to improve, and especially looking at young leaders across the globe working to uplift their economy as to very important. The last 9 months of the COVID era, that world has evolved, world has changed, and I think with the help of technology, the young generation is moving forward in a new direction, which will change. And I think that we overcame the era of COVID, and these were the success stories during the era that helped us to evolve new technology, evolve new change. And I think change we have seen in the education sector, where nobody earlier was interested to go digital. And I think each and every country, each and every village, each and every people going to laptops, your small tabs, mobile phones for their education. And then it comes to industry. And I think when we talk about new generations, it is giving opportunity. And India has taken large steps. And you've seen how Prime Minister has taken this initiative of Atmanirbhar Bharat, where we're giving boost to economy. And we have seen first big catch for our country also in this COVID era, where Apple has moved in from China to southern part of India. And we hope that more industry starts moving in now, because we have the talent, we have the opportunity, we have the land resources. And I think the Southeast, when we talk about the SAARC nations, when we talk about our neighboring countries, I think each and every country is boosting. If I talk about Bangladesh, the textile department, I think, has done a phenomenal job there. They have stolen some of our trade, but still, it is still in the Asian subcontinent. And that is one good thing, that we see our people working and supporting the globe, where it was just a monopoly of one country earlier. And I think if we talk about India, we have given big opportunities, and hopefully in the coming months, you will see bigger companies moving in. We recently, in the state of Haryana during this COVID era, have gotten ATL. It is one of the largest lithium battery manufacturer. It was earlier based in China, but they are investing approximately 7,500 crores into a land area of 180 acres in Mewat. That was the most rural area of our state. And they are coming in manufacturing batteries, and they will support approximately 20% of global battery manufacturing from the state of Haryana. We have a big opportunity. And last time also, when I got into the summit with FICCI, I said that people need to move toward Haryana. Today, when I get a chance, I would say, being young, being at this position, we invite each and every young entrepreneur to come look towards Haryana. We have a new international airport for the future coming up at Hisar. We recently got environment clearances. The runway is under the construction phase, and hopefully in the next 1.5 years, we will see the terminal building also getting finished, and it will be an opportunity to see a cargo hub there. It will see an opportunity for aviation hub. We have already got SpiceJet to build up their MRO at Hisar. Airbus and Boeing are also looking forward from moving their MROs from various states in our country. Also earlier it was in Bengal, but due to overcrowding of the Calcutta airport, they're thinking of moving it either to Haryana or to Madhya Pradesh. But hopefully we'll see such big companies also coming in. We have an opportunity where 135 kilometer long KMP has been built as a necklace of Delhi. And with that, I think it becomes an opportunity. And recently, the Central Cabinet also has approved 5,500 project to build an independent rail corridor along the KMP, which will boost trade across the northern part of this country. And when we talk about how opportunities being, we are recently approved the new Haryana Employment and Enterprise Policy, which will give benefits to large industries, to MSMEs, as well as I have asked that we give seed funds to new companies to come in, and we will give funding to 100 entrepreneurs who are looking forward to start off their work, their industry, in terms of an industry which has not been established. And I think India opportunity 3 to 4 years from across the globe coming in, moving in. JBL, Dell, these are big companies who are looking to come in and invest in the country. And I think there is a lot of opportunity because we have to, I think Junaid Bhai will also agree to that. Our country has those two advantages. We have skilled manpower, and the other is we have young manpower. And I think when I talk about India, we have 55% of our population who are below 40 and in that working age group. And if we can utilize that, we can capture the globe. And I think jointly, when we start working, then we see a good opportunity for countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka to pitch in, take those trades, and with the help of technology and the latest equipments available, boost our economies as well as give better opportunities for young generations to boost in. And hopefully, with the help of FICCI, with the help of new entrepreneurs who are joined in today, we can pitch in the talent to the industries and move forward in a successive path. And hopefully, I think everybody who has joined in would agree that India is the land of opportunity, and jointly we can take it forward. Thank you for making me join in today.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And your progressive views on use of technology and inviting industries and startups to come and invest in Haryana is indeed very, very encouraging and a real fresh breath of air, I must say. It is now my privilege to welcome Dr. Sangeetha Reddy, President of FICCI, the Joint Managing Director of the Apollo Hospital Enterprises. Dr. Sangeetha Reddy is a global healthcare influencer, healthcare technocrat, social entrepreneur, and humanitarian. She has been conferred with an honorary doctorate by Macquarie University, Australia, in recognition of transformative changes in healthcare and development of health IT. She is an honorary council of Brazil in Hyderabad. Influencing global healthcare, Dr. Sangeetha Reddy is a member of the World Economic Forum, Rockefeller Working Group, past member on health for the 12th five-year plan of the Planning Commission of the Government of India. She is a member of the Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and an executive member at NASSCOM. Driving healthcare technology and innovation, Dr. Sangeetha Reddy is focused on setting benchmarks in futuristic healthcare projects, enabling Internet of Things, AI, data analytics, drone technology, and blockchain. Under her leadership, Apollo Hospital received 3 consecutive HIMSS Elsevier ICT Achievement Awards, and 4 hospitals have achieved the HIMSS Level 6 certification. An entrepreneur promoting affordable and sustainable social initiatives, one of her initiatives, Apollo Reach, aims to build a string of secondary care hospitals in rural India. Dr. Sangeetha Reddy is also the chairman of Apollo Knowledge, an education initiative focused on shaping healthcare human capital for tomorrow by setting up medical colleges, the online learning platform Medversity, and Apollo Med Skills. Driving humanitarian initiatives, Dr. Sangeetha Reddy heads Apollo Philanthropy, an umbrella entity encompassing Save a Child's Heart Initiative, Cure and Billion Hearts Beating Foundation, and Total Health Foundation. She's received various awards and recognition. Dr. Sangeetha Reddy has been a recipient of prestigious awards for business and leadership in healthcare industry for a long time now. Welcome, Dr. Reddy, to this, and we hope to hear you now.
Abhishek, I think she's having some
Yeah,
technical problem logging in from the PMO. She was there.
Yes.
So may I request Shashwat ji to say something for the Honorable Deputy CM, please?
Shashwat, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Shashwat.
You can please try to log out and log in again.
I think Shashwat had a network issue. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Mr. Junaid and Mr. Chautala for what you spoke. I think, Mr. Junaid, it was indeed, like I said, very eye-opening in a lot of ways. We've always been tracking the growth of Bangladesh over the last few years, and I can tell you I'm from apparel and footwear industry, and I can really see what even is happening on the textile and the footwear front in manufacturing. I think Bangladesh is really showing a lot of progressive approach to business. But I think what was remarkable for me to hear was the vision of digital Bangladesh, and I think given the young population that Bangladesh also has. Like Mr. Chautala also said about us, I think it's a huge opportunity, enabling Bangladesh through the vision of Digital Bangladesh, of the Vision 2021, the skill development that you guys are going through, online learning, digital commerce growth. And overall, I think the approach is very, very development and growth focused. And with young leaders like yourself, I'm sure Bangladesh will really progress in the next decade, and would surprise a lot of other economies. And Mr. Chautala, on your side, I think it's as I said, very heartening to see young leaders like you drive a state towards technology evolution and creating the feeling of ease of business. I think I can speak from the industry side. I think the industry needs assurances like you openly are mentioning, and I think you said that you've repeated this over a FICCI event, but I think the more you repeat, the more the business community and the companies will have the faith and trust to invest in the state, which is very, very interesting. And India definitely, with skilled manpower and young population and the digital mindset that we have, I think we will attract more investments. Like you mentioned, Apple investing in South India, investment from ATL on battery manufacturing, that you are getting in Haryana. I'm sure this is just the start. I'm personally convinced with what you say that we're probably just scratching the surface as a country, and we have a huge potential going forward. And reassurances from young leaders like you will go a long way in establishment of the faith and trust of business community in India and outside to invest in the country. Thank you so much from FICCI's side for participating in it, and we hope to see you again in events in the future.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Yes, please start.
Hello everyone. Let's begin with the fireside chat with Mr. Abhishek Ganguly, co-chairman of FICCI Young Leaders Forum and managing director Puma India and Southeast Asia, along with Mr. Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, Indian professional footballer. I would like to take over. I would like to hand over to Mr. Abhishek Ganguly for further proceedings.
Thank you, Muskan. Welcome, Gurpreet. Welcome to this chat. I know that we discussed that you have a game in some time and you have to rush out. Thanks for making the time for us at FICCI.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here, and I've always supported what FICCI does. And when I was in quarantine and also in Australia, I remember that we did something with FICCI at that time also, and it was a very fun chat. So I've always looked forward to this chat, and there's a lot to talk about.
Great. Well, Gurpreet, I mean, you have had, I would say, a fabulous career in Indian football. You've been literally the custodian of Indian football for some time. And you have a lot of things to your credit. The first Indian to actually play in a UEFA Europa League. And a lot of firsts to your credit, and also such a successful partnership you have with your current club, Bangalore Football Club. The first goalkeeper for the national team. You can't complain for your achievements, right? You've achieved quite a bit.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful welcome. But I think all of this is only possible due to the hard work and the commitment to the game and to the cause. And like they say, if you keep your head down and you keep working, things will always fall in place. And that's what's the case with me. I've always tried to, take one day at a time, try to put my 100% in every day. And this is a result of that.
Gurpreet, why don't you take us a bit through your journey? You started playing football when you were just 7. And since then to become such a regular member, I know that you've won twice in succession the Golden Glove Award in the ISL. A lot of achievements. Your Bangalore Football Club has won ISL with you being a team member. I know I've personally watched India matches where you've really saved the country, literally, like as the last man standing, and which has been so fantastic for an Indian football fan to watch, because obviously we've not been, the last 20 years or 25 years has not been, if you take aside the last 5-6 years where we have really climbed the FIFA rankings, I think last 7-8 years, but before that, Indian football did have a lot of challenges. But how did you get into this fold, and what's your story?
It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. See, the thing is, I never was this good or a natural goalkeeper. When I started off, I barely knew how to kick a ball, catch a ball. And I'll tell you a story that during quarantine in Goa right now, I was watching all of my previous games from 2011, 12, when I used to look at myself and think that, how is this guy, doing the things which I'm doing right now? How is it possible? And it's all due to, like I said, the hard work. I started with St. Stephen's Football Academy back in Chandigarh, like you mentioned, as a kid. And from there on, I just showed up every day. That's what I did. I showed up every single day, even if I was not that good as a footballer, as a youngster. And sometimes I got lucky. I got opportunities where I shouldn't have got opportunities. And from there on, I got into the under 16 team in 2007. And that's how I became a part of the Indian football culture. And I got to know about, the I League, the professional clubs, the professional players. And in 2009, I got to sign for the first time with East Bengal, and I spent 4 years over there. Learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes as a professional, Like, they say a goalkeeper has to make so many mistakes to become what he is today, and that foundation that I have from my East Bengal days is so strong, which made me who I am today. And in 2014, I left for Norway. I spent 3 years over there, three very good years, which made me into a different player altogether, different person altogether. And in 2017, I ended up in Bengaluru, which is my home now. And I love playing football here. I love being a part of this team because we have such a great environment, such a great dressing room that as a player, you want to be a part of that. And I hope we keep, playing together and winning together, because that's what football is all about.
Tell us a bit about Norway, because it's a fabulous story to hear that how you kept growing and had diverse experiences. But going to Norway and that time being the first Indian professional footballer to actually do that, how did that happen, and how did you manage? Was it very difficult from being the only Indian, probably the only South Asian doing that? It's not a beaten track, right?
Of- it was very difficult, especially going from a country like India and going to Europe, where the level of football is so high. And if you tell someone in Europe that you've come from India to play football, there's a stigma towards it, and people think, oh yeah, I mean, from India, do they even play football and stuff like that? So to go to a country like Norway, where football is big, and to be able to be the first Indian to play the Europa League, and be the first Indian to play top division football over there, was a big achievement for myself. And it, as I said, it is all due to the hard work and the commitment. Days were really hard over there. I remember that we used to join pre-season in January, and we used to have pre-season until January, February, March, and season started in April. So these 3 months for an Indian guy to go to Norway in the snow, train, were really hard. Also, that in India, everything is very easy, accessible. You can make things happen. You can have people cleaning your house, make food,
Mm.
and stuff like that. But when you go to Europe and outside India, you need to do things on your own, travel in buses, travel in metros, cook your own food. So that experience for me was as important as the football experience. And I'm glad that I got to spend those 3 years over there.
Right. Gurpreet, I mean, you're no longer that kid, right, who started playing football and had new experiences. You have now, you're an experienced professional, and I always believe that sports, especially team sports, teaches a lot, not just about sport, but about life and leadership. And there are a lot of things that we in the business world and in the industry, we can take cues out of. So what are the things that, that strike out for you, that as a professional athlete, that it comes to you with regards to teamwork or leadership, that, and if you can just tell me a couple of things or two, three things that.
But those are very good points which you put out. But I think from sports, what I have taken is self-care and discipline. That's what sport teaches you. I mean, when you're a part of a team, or even playing individual sports, like we have badminton, tennis, and everything, it teaches you self-care and a lot of discipline, to wake up every single day and show up to training, to come back and eat well, sleep well. Often we look at sports and we look at what we are doing on the pitch, or on the field, but we neglect what people do outside the pitch, to be able to produce the same amount of effort and performance again, is something which sport teaches you. And if you manage to do that, you have a very good lifestyle. And that kind of lifestyle can make you very happy. You have good relations with your family, friends. You feel good about yourself as well. So I think sports in that term teaches you a lot of things outside of the particular norms of team unity and brotherhood and stuff like that. It teaches you a lot of other things like discipline and self-care.
Well, that's a fantastic thought. I think that's relevant for every profession, I guess. What do you say symbolically as showing up every day, right? I think we all in our own ways have to show up every day and do things, try to be the better version of ourselves, every day. And I think that's fantastic. Look, you've not just been a footballer who's trying to improve his professional skills and his achievements, but you have also and that's very heartening, that you also have a point of view, like a point of view that you have on women's football and equality in sport. And I was going through what you do on your Instagram page or around you are into sketching, and you auction your sketches in the interest of women's football. And can you tell us a bit about your initiative and your thought process? How did it strike you? Why did it strike you?
Uh, I'm glad that you asked me this question. I think when I met my partner, Devinish, she's from Australia, and when I met her 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, um, it was very eye-opening because she's a very outspoken person, and she is a very honest person as well. And when you be with a personality like that, and she also showed me a lot of things which happen actually to women all around the world, not just in India. It is very, very disheartening, and it is something that all of us can do something about. And sketching has always been my love, and in my free time I've always made doodles and keep it to myself. But I think in Sydney I was making this sketch of Dexter, and I made it, and I showed her and be like, I was trying to show off. And that's when the idea came. She was like, you need to do something with this, maybe upload it on Instagram, make a handle. And once we discussed the idea, then we thought, this should stand for something. We should use this for something, and try to engage with people to do something for a cause. And there was no back and forth about what cause. The moment we chose supporting women, because I'm from a football background, we chose women's football, do something for grassroots levels, and try to help in small ways, because it's such a small initiative right now. uh, so I've already managed to auction 2 sketches, and we got in touch with an NGO which is in Delhi called RRFC. And I was able to give them a lot of things via the funds that we collected from other people, and also matching the amount from my end and our end. And the smile that I see on those girls' faces is priceless. And I spoke with them as well. I spoke to the winners of the auction as well, because I asked them, why did you do this? And they said, we didn't do it for the sketches. I know my sketches are not that good enough, but they did it for the cause. And that's what I think everybody needs. Everyone is willing to do something, but all you need to do is provide them a platform or a channel. People are that good enough to stand up for a cause. All we need to do, like in my position, I have some kind of influence on a very small amount of people, and how I use it is very, very important. And I think things like this need attention, and if people like me who have this bit of influence on people can direct them, it makes me a happier person.
Well, that's, I think, very inspirational for people who don't have that much influence that you have. And I think it's also an inspiration for people today in the public space who probably have more influence than you. I think I think taking a stand, you're inspiring both sides, even just regular citizens who also can do their bit. But I think this women's sports, like, how do you see that in India, right? I mean, on one side, there is no equality on that. And on the other side, if you look at the number of medals in Olympics that India has got, it's primarily been women, right? The individual golds, individual medals, or in the Asian Championships, Asian Games, and right from PT Usha to Mary Kom today to Duti Chand to Sakshi Malik to Karnam Maleshwari to all of them, Sindhu. What's your view? Like, do you see that women's sports? How do you view that in India?
See, the problem itself is in the view of how we see women in India, and maybe not even India, all around the world, how we see them. And if you look at it, it's not that great. I mean, you're letting women play only because they are giving you medals, or are you letting them do things because they are equal? So there's a difference. How we need to change this is from grassroots. Make sure that people have the right foundations. You need to guide them. You need to guide your kids, that you need to treat everyone with respect, be it a man or a woman, and never step on anyone else's opportunity. If it's a woman who is overqualified, you need to give them the opportunity. You can't just not give it because you think a man could do better and stuff like that. So I think what needs to happen, and what I think should happen, is the viewpoint of how we treat women in a country, in the world, should change. And with the lack of support now, women getting medals for us, I'm pretty sure that with our support they can change the world completely.
Right. So it's the mindset that we need to continuously. I think the more all of us talk about it at various levels, I think we will, and it is probably improving. But I guess there is lots and miles to go on that front. The my one more question I had for you is that also leadership. You have had certain opportunities to captain the side as well, and or demonstrate leadership as a senior professional. What's your best leadership story?
With leadership, I mean, I've always thought about how a leader feels, and does a leader be acting fierce, or does he need to off the pitch and stuff like that, be like loud, and make sure that message is clear to everyone or not. But what with leadership actually I've learned is people will follow you if you do the right actions yourself. As a leader, if you're not doing your job properly, no one else will follow you. And that's what I've learned from Sunil Chetri. That's what I've learned from different people. I love Barack Obama as well. I love for example, this young lady from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. Because these people are doing their jobs properly, people like us follow them and try to be like them. And that's what I think a good leader is all about. It's not about how you give the message, it's how you do the message. Basically, walk the walk rather than talk the talk.
Wow, fantastic. Before we sign out, because we've just a couple of more minutes, I was chatting up with you, Gurpreet, and knowing what the kind of life you're now leading in a bubble with the ISL starting. And I think as hard as it seems from afar, I think you can probably give a sneak peek of your life, because I think I mean the more I hear such stories, and during this pandemic when we are all so despondent today because we cannot have our normal life back, I think it would be good to understand what is living inside a bubble mean for a professional athlete, just to carry on with the sport. So if you can just give us a sneak peek of your life.
I think firstly I would like to say that I'm very, very grateful to be given the opportunity to do what I do, which is play football in times like this, in a place like India, where cases are huge. But living in a bio bubble obviously is not easy. we need to make sure that everyone is safe. I'll give you an example that if someone wants to enter the bio bubble right now, they need to do 14 days of quarantine and get tested 3 times negative. Then only they can enter. And once you enter, you cannot leave the first floor of the hotel, because that's where, for example, we are staying. And we have certain zones in the hotel where we can go freely, which are basically the dining hall and other players' room right now. But other than that, you can't go anywhere, and this is what it's going to be until March. So, like, the team has thought about, making it more interactive. They've set up, a recreational room, and they've set up, different gym slots for people who want to work out. So it's very difficult, but I think most of the players are just very happy and grateful to be back on the pitch, because that's what matters right now. And I think we need to be, if we are working right now in these kind of conditions, we need to be very grateful of our work, and make sure that we are doing it properly and safely, because times like these require these norms.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gurpreet. I mean, it was pleasure having you, listening to you, and keep inspiring. You're part of the Puma family, and it's been a pleasure to have you since you signed up, and it's been a great pleasure to have you at FICCI and make the business side and the industry side listen to you from a very, very different quarters of sports. Thank you so much. It was great having you. I wish you the very best for ISL this year and for many more achievements. And hopefully the world repairs soon and we get to see some real football action, and you take Indian football to greater heights.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure being part of this meeting, and it's lovely to talk the other side of football sometimes and talk about these subjects, because for my actually for my mental strength also, to be in a part of this bubble and be able to talk about topics like this is very refreshing. So thank you for inviting me, and having me here to talk about all these things. And hopefully, like you said, things get back to normal, and we do what we do.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gurpreet.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Wish
you.
you the very best.
Take care.
Yeah, we can ready to go. Khan?
Hello, everyone. Let's begin with the session on youth icons inspiring new generations. And today's moderator is Miss Shelly Chopra, founder of SheThePeople.tv. She is an award-winning journalist. She is a Draper Hills Fellow from Stanford, a 40 under 40 for this year Impact magazine. Now I would like to hand over it to Ms. Shadi Chopra ma'am.
Thank you very much. Let's start by introducing our panel today. Youth icons it is, and I think our shoulders are already heavy thinking of what all we need to carry for the future. But I've got a fantastic set of guests joining me right here to discuss really how we all can contribute much more and truly make an effort to create a sisterhood for good. I've got Aditi Chauhan, who's the Indian national football team goalkeeper. She's a founder of She Kicks. I love the name, by the way. I've got Neil Ghosh, founder of the Robin Hood Army. I've got Matthias Brendel, co-founder and CEO of Footprint Tech. And Rakesh Chauhan, who's a British pianist and composer. Delighted to have all of you with us here on the discussion on youth icons. I'm going to go straight to Aditi. Aditi, you know, being a sportswoman, being in the national team, you've really sort of seen what it is to be a young person and fight your way all the way up to be a part of, you know, a team in the country. How do you see that fighting spirit in the country today?
It's incredible. First of all, I'd like to start off with thanking FICCI and for having me, and to you, Sherry ma'am, for addressing me and for acknowledging what I've achieved and what I've done till now. The fighting spirit is always there. I've always said that women have incredible strength. It's just a matter of giving them the opportunity to explore that strength. And for me, my family, my mother has been an inspiration. She's always set very high standards for all of us in the family, and that's where I get the inspiration and I get that drive from. And she's also a co-founder of She Kicks. So again, I've got that inspiration from her there as well. And I've always had this, you know, as a female athlete, as like many of the other athletes in the country, we go through a lot of challenges to get, you know, to achieve something at a high level, especially in a game like football, which is back then when I started playing about 10, 12 years ago. It wasn't, I personally also didn't know there was a national team, women's national team. So obviously the journey has been very, very tough, very challenging, but I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that I've got. And you know, I've always, through this journey, I've realized that it's very important for us to realize who we are, you know, identify what are our strengths, what are we connected to emotionally. And for me, it was very clear through this journey, I realized that, you know, football is my passion. And I want to empower women through the sport, because that's what I've experienced, the power of sport that has helped me become the person that I am, the kind of personality that I've got. And I know it has a lot of, you know, the sport has a lot of power to bring about a change. And we've talked about this. You mentioned this in the opening address as well. And that's what I'm trying to do with She Kicks. The idea with She Kicks is to empower women through football. You're mute. You're on mute.
Fantastic. I think that's a fantastic way to take what is your legacy to the next level and get many more women empowered. Forget about reaching the team or not, but certainly to be able to kick. That's important. Okay, yes. Neil, coming to you. You know, as Aditi said, passion, when you put your emotions in something, one thinks of disruption. And what you've done with the Robin Hood Army is an absolutely amazing startup, which looks at how does one reduce wastage of food and take it to those who don't have it. Tell us about how you came up with this idea and what stage are you in terms of your journey with this project?
Thanks for having us here again, Shelly. And so I think one key point here is the Robin Hood Army has always been something we do with our full-time work. There's no money involved. So before this, I used to work in Zomato for many years. I now work with Google. Every single person in the Robin Hood Army does this in their free time. So in terms of stage, like that's always a very ambiguous question. But so my job in Zomato used to be as to set up our international markets. So I'd spend around 9 to 12 months in each of our markets, launching our team and going to the next one. So this was 2014, I was in Portugal. And we were basically setting up our operations in Lisbon when we found a similar organization called Reef Food, which essentially collects excess food from restaurants and gives it to the less fortunate. Now, honestly, till then I was super career focused, and it was all about just building Zomato and doing something we love. But I never really thought about things from an altruistic point of view. But the idea was just so simple; it just made obvious sense, especially in a country like India. So I think we brought back that idea here, and I got in touch with my friends Arushi and Anand, and we started this in August 2014. So finally, it's always been a passion project. We've used all the growth tools, everything we've learned in our workplaces and social media and all of that to kind of scale. Currently, we serve around 1.4 million meals a month, and we do that without any funds. And we have around 60,000 Robins across 13 countries. The problem of hunger is much larger than these numbers. So we hope this journey is just getting started.
Indeed, that's very inspirational, and I have a lot of questions for you, which I'll follow up in a few minutes. Rakesh, you're a pianist in Britain. You've been working on getting creative people together to see how they can build that and sort of have a creative exchange in place. Talk to us about what you do and what's your mission with this effort.
Sure, absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you so much, Shaili, and it's a pleasure to be amongst such formidable characters. So it's a delight to be here. Absolutely, I think what you've touched upon is so important, and especially what Aditi and Neil said about having that exchange and being able to provide. Those are sort of values rather than missions, which I'm doing. So primarily, I'm a British Indian pianist and composer. So the work that I do amalgamates styles of Indian classical music onto the piano. That's something which really hasn't been explored before. So it's been quite novel in terms of attracting a new audience, especially when I'm performing in Europe. A lot of the audience haven't heard that music juxtaposed onto the piano. And I'm really pleased to be chairing the Global Indian Creatives, which is a forum which connects those who are emerging artists with those who are already established. And I think that sort of medium and catalyst is really important now more than ever, that we are able to share our experiences. It's speaking from personal experience, I've been very lucky to have been around those who have achieved so many great things in their professional fields, and it's only through actually spending time with them and being nurtured by them was I able, I guess, by sort of osmosis to really understand the artistic elements, but also everything else that's involved in becoming a musician, a creative, and how to I guess subsidize it and materialize it within certain avenues. So as I said, it's important now more than ever to be able to pass on information.
I like the way the undertone and everything that we're talking here has got passion and this desire to do good around us. So I'm going to come to you, Matthias. Everybody looks at young people for leadership, right? I think a few years ago, young were just looked at least in India, a demographic dividend. We never really spoke enough about them as a source of change, as a source of revolutions, as a source of movements that could actually find new ways, whether through startups or whether through social good projects, that can transform the way we connect with each other and do good without kind of finding a structure or a business model and so on and so forth, right? You have been working with young leaders and seeing leadership evolve. What does the power of youth speak to you?
Yeah, at first, thank you for having me, and hello, good morning or good afternoon from Berlin, Germany. Yeah, I'm very happy to join your panel. During the last 6 years, I have been leading different teams, and I want to focus especially on the last 4.5 years. In those 4.5 years, I have been building up Audi Denkwerkstatt, which is an entrepreneurship program for employees of Audi to create new business models. And that means people are coming out of their comfort zone. People have to work in a different environment with different topics, with different methodologies. And for that, they need confidence. confidence in themselves, and a leadership which empowers them to try out new things, to experiment, and to learn from experiments which also went wrong. And that's very important if you want to foster innovation in a company or in a whole economy. You have to have empowerment leadership. That's very important because everybody has to be intrinsically motivated. And how can you be intrinsically motivated? When you are the leader, the driver of your car. That means you have to be the person who decides whether to turn left or right when you're facing a problem, and to have somebody in the background whom you can ask if you want to have advice. But if you're sure you can take the decision on your own, you should be empowered to do it. And that was my role as a leader in this entrepreneurship program. And I enjoyed it very much because it generates a lot of energy. If people are working on ideas they are identified with, and if they can influence how to do it, then they are fully motivated and you generate a lot of energy and speed. And that's a great fun leading such a unit. And now I switched over. I just founded my own company, the Footprint Technologies, and then in a similar process. I'm now CEO of a 4-people company, but I'm quite sure in a year we will be 20 or 30 employees. And so I have to find a similar setup and a spirit in my team to build the foundation for this. And that's a great challenge.
That's really interesting. I'll come to you, Neil, as a segue from what Matthias said. Till a while ago, we were all so concerned that, humanity is going to lose everything. Everything is going to be taken over by machines. We always thought of our jobs as, temporary. And you must know this better than me because you work with all of these, high-tech startups. But we haven't seen that. Is it because suddenly we've realized in a good direction that we could actually work with many other aspects of ourselves, whether it's empathy or finding the need to do much more altruistic, or as Matthias said, empowered entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I think while there's been a fair amount of advent and progress in just a lot of automation and things going the machine route, I don't think there are ever any substitutes to empathy or leadership or just like human leading. And I think that's something which like a lot of people have learned the hard way, where they've realized that like, okay, like if we focus just exclusively on tech, or if we focus exclusively on processes, we can like solve for scale. But I don't think empathy is replaceable. Like you can open many more avenues of partnerships. Like let's say for us, like we go to our partners saying that, look, we do this in our free time. There's no money involved. This is our way of giving back to the country. Are you in? So that pitch is much more compelling than like if we go to an Uber or we go to a Viacom or if we go to somewhere where you worked earlier, NDTV. I think that's something where like people respond to that much better because there's some basic humanity and people just like bond on the fact that, look, we are even in this forum, just like the privileged few 20% who can talk about these things. But does that solve for the problem of everyone? Not so sure. So I think you need a combination of both empathy and tech to kind of like really scale and make a difference in whatever you do, whether it's building a tech organization or trying to like impact people at scale.
Do you think, Neil, though, in many ways today we are at least open as as a cohort to start thinking more collaborative than competitive? I think for a very long time, competition was the only thing that we used to look at. Suddenly, there is this feeling, and I wonder if it is driven by young people who say, "Why just one? Why not many?"
Right. Again, I think there should always be a healthy balance. I think the best way to articulate that is with anecdotes. I think for us, like we have like our Robins are basically housewives, young working professionals, students, retired citizens. They're all from like different walks of life, and we coordinate on WhatsApp. And we have this like WhatsApp group called the Boiler Room, which is basically like it's like a lot of like inspiration from sales, but like it's basically got the city heads of all 200 cities of Robin Hood Army in one WhatsApp group. So there we have a combination of collaboration and competition. So collaboration in the sense, like if someone is doing something specific, like they're basically doing a large mega drive serving like thousands of people, or they're doing something in the field of education, they share it there, and then 200 other cities will get an idea that, oh, by the way, this is very doable, and they do it. But at the same time, what we have is we have things like leaderboards, which is like how many people have been served in each of these cities, and we put that in a list in reverse descending order. So that kind of like really drives people that, okay, I'm kind of like number 12 out of 200 cities. How do I get to number 10 or the top 10? So I think you kind of need to do a bit of both, as long as it's healthy. But I do think like collaboration is becoming more and more the flavor of the season in the last couple of years, more than it ever has been earlier.
Okay, great. Rakesh, to the work that you've been doing, I mean, I saw you've had a phenomenal run as a pianist. But at what stage did you feel that, listen, I got to go beyond what I do as let's say my bread and butter or my source of living, and use music to find a larger impact to make? And what really brought that change in you? Were you successful and therefore you felt it? Did you always harbor this feeling? I'm trying to understand at what stage do young people really say, yes, time for me to make this more than about myself?
Sure. So I'll just draw on what sort of Matthias sort of said earlier. There's that need to feel to steer, whether it's right or left. And there comes that point where you never really look at success or what it is you are achieving, but you look at how you can help, how you can give to others. For me, as I alluded to earlier, I've been very lucky to have been around people who've inspired me, but I know not everybody has that access. And it comes down to privilege at the end of the day. And it's important that privilege isn't just available to a select few. It ought to be a autonomous sort of drive. Everybody should have access to the resources they need. And it really comes from that drive to really make sure that there's that equilibrium in society, that those people who do want to pursue their careers or pursue whatever it is they may be passionate, just like with Aditya does with her excellent work in the football field, they have access to those resources, they have access to those people. And people are really important because people really do help you. Your network really does help you. Your network really does inspire you. And Shaili, you know more than anybody that it's through the energy of people which you survive and thrive. And that's where the drive comes from.
I think that's a great point. Access, opportunity. Now, Aditi, I know this is what you're trying to do for a lot of young women, helping them get access to training, get them access to opportunities. Right. But I think the other piece of it is, how many of us can do this by ourselves, right? Okay, even if we get collaborative, do we sometimes need to see an institutional system kick in? Do you feel, as somebody who's played in the national team, she knows how the sport piece works in India, could governments do more? Could corporations do more to support such initiatives?
Of course, there's always more the merrier. Obviously, to have a larger impact, like the other panelists have mentioned, it is important to collaborate, and that's what we've been discussing. But I also feel that when I started this journey, having gone through the challenges, when I started off, there was no place for me as a girl to go and train in a safe place. For my parents also to be satisfied that yes, it's a safe place and she can go and pursue her dreams and her passion. And I felt that like we've mentioned, and Neil and Rakesh have put it very beautifully, that we are the fortunate ones or the privileged ones who've got the opportunity and the exposure. At least I consider myself as one of the very few people who've got that exposure and the opportunity to go abroad to see to play for West Ham, which is, again, I was the first person to play for a English Premier League club, and I saw the various facilities, the opportunities, the different leagues that are available for girls to play, whether at an amateur level or at a professional level. And that is what is really important. And I felt that, when I came back to India after completing my MSc Sports Management degree from Loughborough University, when I came back, I thought, how can I make a difference? How can I bring that knowledge and experience that I've gained both on the pitch and off the pitch? How can I bring that to India and, share that with more and more girls here? And I felt that, maybe I'm just an individual. I was very young. I was in my early 20s. and I felt that maybe I'm not enough. And I, like a lot of people, I used to run around people to get some sort of guidance and some sort of direction in terms of how we can have, create this platform to the wider base. But then I slowly realized, the kind of passion and drive that I have, none of the other people have the same kind of inclination or thought process, especially at that time. And I thought, I just have to get started with something. I'm enough. We have the power of internet. We can do all our research. We can do these virtual calls, do all the kind of research, connect with the right people from across the world who've done similar things in other countries, and pick the best out of it, and see what you can implement in the country and really make an impact, because one person is enough, really, to get that drive and get that, the change of perspective. And that's what I've been trying to do with SheKicks, and I've been fairly successful, I would say, in my view, because from where I started, I know that it's, SheKicks and my work has brought in a lot of attention towards women's football and providing this platform to younger girls. And that really was the aim right from the start, to share my knowledge and experience and create this platform for younger generation, especially the girls, to really get the power, use football as a tool to bring the change and empower the girls.
Okay, so Matthias, one thing that I think you, one thing from you on entrepreneurship in large corporations. What can they learn from young entrepreneurs, young people who are trying to straddle more than just the usual business piece?
Yeah, I think the main difference, if you compare young people starting off and very experienced people, is young people are faster because they are not afraid of running against a hurdle. The older you grow, the more experienced you are, the more hurdles you know, and you try not to hit them. And being young means also being a bit naive. And I can say that because I was 17 when I founded my first company, and I didn't know a lot what that means at the time, but I grew into it. And so it's good to start off in a positive spirit and just to try it. If you don't try it, you will never reach it. And so sometimes it's good to be a little bit naive, to be a pioneer, to be driven by your spirit, and not to think about all risks. That's very important to create something new. I think if you're looking at the great examples from Silicon Valley, a lot of those entrepreneurs didn't really know much about the field they were entering. Just think of Elon Musk when he had the plan to build electric cars. He was not experienced in it, but he made a great job and transformed an industry. Or if you look at Google, that's really great examples. And I think we can learn something from that and be inspired. Just try it. I think everybody can build up a great thing. It can be a social initiative. It can be a great business. It just needs your inner power. And you have to find an idea which is really giving you energy, which you can use to build up something new and to inspire others.
I think
Can
great
I
points. Yes, sure, Aditi, please add.
Sorry, can I just add something? It's very well put by Matthias, because something that he shared, I can relate to it completely. Like he said, we are naive because I think I would consider the youth as solution driven. We are solution driven. We don't know what kind of challenge might come in front of us while pursuing what we are passionate about, but we are not scared of it. We know that in a world like today, that we have so many opportunities, so many options, that if one thing doesn't work, we're always ready for the alternate thing. And for that to happen at a larger scale, it's very important for the corporates, for the big companies to also support and get behind these youngsters. Which I feel is really changing. I've seen, in the recent past, during this pandemic only, I've seen some incredible initiatives by youngsters from schools. And I'm just awestruck by the kind of impact that they're creating at such a young age, getting the finances from the big corporates and making that impact during the pandemic. It's incredible. And I think, and I really feel that the perspective of the companies and the corporates is changing towards, getting behind the youngsters who are really making an impact and bringing a change through different mediums.
So outside of corporations and governments as an enabler, Matthias, I'm just going to come to you, but I do want to sort of also steer this discussion to how using digital, the power of connecting the way we all are today has become such an important enabler. And maybe I want to know all your thoughts on how you've leveraged that. So Neil, in your case, you did take us through your story about how you managed to, sort of set this up. But I'm imagining that tech for good is a central piece of your entire vision.
No, absolutely. I think we hear a lot about how tech is eroding into our lives and making things less natural. But I do believe there's a lot of leverage in terms of spreading a good idea and getting like-minded people to under one platform through technology. So for us, I think our major platforms have always been social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, where we put out pictures of young working professionals wearing green t-shirts who go out and serve food in their free time. And through that, we get a good 8,000-10,000 people signing up every single month, wanting to do this. So I think definitely and then we use WhatsApp as a leverage tool. We use Google Drive, which is shared docs and all of that, where we're basically talking about partnerships and plans and SOPs and so on and so forth. So I do think that it's important for any growing organization, irrespective of what they're doing, to be ahead of the tech game, to know what's working, what's not, constantly keep iterating. And I think coming back to Matthias's point, have a very healthy appetite for unlearning, because what works 2 years back is irrelevant today. And I think having a very clear perspective on that, not being too married to your ideas, is also a very important part for growth, which I think most youth actually have. And they're not too focused on their ideas, they're just focused on what works.
Rakesh, would you like to chime into that?
Yeah, so I think technology is a enabler, it's a tool, but we also have to be very careful how we use it as well. So I think it's important to treat it carefully. So recently I've undertook a project where I was raising awareness of mental health through arts and using that as a medium, because I always felt that arts could be used as an enabler to open up conversations, and through technology itself, we've reached over, I think, 1 million people just on the project of raising awareness of mental health. And as Neil says, well, especially during the pandemic, having access to tools is important. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little as well, because especially with just talking specifically about the media industry, tools have been made to curtail how entertainment's used. For example, if I look at the way Instagram onto Reels and TikTok, it's as a pianist, the concerts I play are usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. These mediums require people's attention, to capture people's attention spans in 15 seconds. So you end up diluting a really traditional form of art, and everybody's in this race to get everybody's attention in 15 seconds. So while it can be really powerful, I think it's really important that it's treated carefully as well.
Okay, some good points there. Caveats in place. Matthias, sorry, I know you wanted to make a point, but I had moved on tech for good. Maybe you can add it to that.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think the speed of adoption of new technology is a main difference between established companies or governmental institutions and startups. And startups are much faster because they don't have a history, they don't have any systems already running. They can decide on day one what is the best possible technology to use, what's the best possible software we can use, which supporting tools can be implemented to fulfill our mission. And for that reason, it's so important to have an overview of what's out there to support you and your mission and your team to make the most out of it. And I think that's a total enabler for all startups that are thriving. And that's the main difference we can use today. We didn't have 30 years from now. And,
okay, Matthias, I'm going to start with the closing comments from you, and then go around the table. Now, one of the things that I always do in discussions about young people is to ask everybody in the discussion to share what they would say to their younger self. What were their biggest regrets that they wouldn't let happen if they were given a second chance? And I mean, I can't even believe how often I am so inspired by that I think that sometimes, you want to know lived experiences that often remind you that you can do it because others have. So let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I would tell my younger self, do not focus on limitations, but on opportunities. In my whole life, I have been a pioneer, and I've experienced that it's always possible to jump out of your comfort zone and to become a better self each day. And it took me some years to get aware of that. And if I would have known this 30 years earlier, it would have been much easier. And so what helps me today is that I'm a mentor for young people in school age. And by this, I'm learning a lot what young people are doing and which limitations they maybe see. And I try to help them to unleash these limitations. And that's always helping me, myself, for looking into the future.
Neil?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. They might be slightly not so politically correct, but I'll go anyway. But I think first is like, so I think one is like, stop overthinking. There'll always be like reasons, pros and cons of why you should do something or you should not do something. I think you only know when you start doing it. So your plans are never going to be absolutely perfect. Just get into the field, get your hands dirty, get started, and then I think the bigger plan will fall into place. So I think one is like just like think less and do more. The second one is like I think always remember that like what you are doing is you're just the mouthpiece of the team. Never like it's very easy to like be very swayed by what you're building and like thinking it's like a one-person show, but there are like hundreds of people who are in the background who may or may not be part of your team, who are part of like building where it is. So I think like always having that humility of knowing exactly like who's a factor of your success, which is not just yourself, is important. And I'd probably say the last piece is just widen your area of what success means. Like in traditional terms, like success basically means like having a fancy job, or like earning more money than your peers, or like having a fancy car, or maybe even just like being a great family person. But I think like there are a lot of like deeply unsettling problems in the world, and it's not just like the governments to solve for. Like if you have a certain amount of privilege, if you have a certain amount of networks and resources, like it's everyone's to solve for. So I think just like widening that thought of what success means would probably be like good for everyone to kind of like know.
I think I love that last bit. Change your definition of success, widen it. Fantastic. Rakesh?
I would say be yourself. I think that's the most important thing, in the sense that don't try to do something which somebody else has already done or try to be somebody. I think it's really important that we do get inspired by people, but not to the I think we should radiate our own energy, and I think that's the most important thing is just being yourself. The work that I do, I think a very handful of people play the style of music that I do on the piano, and it's it's brought a lot of attention, but it's also allowed me to explore more, and not being afraid to explore is another key thing. So I think not having fear, and secondly, to be yourself, do what your heart and mind tells you.
I'll give you the final word, Aditi.
Thank you. So I just want to share that obviously as a young as a young change maker, woman change maker in the male dominated industry, it's been very, very challenging. And there have been situations and times when I was very young, naive, and I tried to bring this try to advocate for gender equality and all that. And there have been times when I've been said that you're not just not appreciated enough, and try to there were people who tried to make things difficult for me to move forward in what I was trying to do and what I was trying to achieve. So I just want to tell myself as a to my younger self that if you're true to what your dream is, to your ambition, your mission, that's what is really important. Just be true to yourself, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough for anything. That's probably the final word that I would say to a younger self, and to all the youngsters who are watching us live right now. That's the word I would leave the audience with.
Indeed, with a country that has half its populations below 25 and 60% below 35, I think we certainly have gone back with some fantastic elements for all of us to be inspired by, and perhaps kickstart a little bit of that person inside us that wants to do more and widen the success definition. Thanks all of you for joining us. Thank you, FICCI. Great having a catch up on Youth Icons of India. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.